The human vessel glided through space like a small, confident shadow. Its sleek hull reflected the distant light of stars, moving with a grace that no Sci-Fi ship could match. Inside, the crew worked quietly, each absorbed in their tasks. Alex, Mercer stood on the command deck, staring at the holographic star map. The Drexari Armada was massive, but Alex noticed something the alien coalition had missed. They move in predictable patterns, Alex said, pointing to clusters of enemy ships. Not obvious patterns, but subtle ones. If we exploit them, we can avoid their strongest forces and strike where they are weakest. Mara, the pilot, tilted her head. You really think we can do this with just our ship? Even with strategy, we're so small. They'll crush us if we make a mistake. Alex shook his head. That's exactly what they expect. They assume we will fight like everyone else, but humans fight differently. We use intelligence, improvisation, and timing. That is our real advantage. Meanwhile, back at the Safari observation platform, Admiral Karen and her commanders watched the human vessel leave. She could not hide her concern. One ship, she muttered. One human ship is supposed to face the entire Drexari Armada. It is reckless. Her deputy, a tall alien with shimmering silver skin named Vorin, spoke cautiously. Perhaps humans are more capable than we understand. Their species has always survived against overwhelming odds. Karen shook her head. This is different. This is not survival. It is war. Numbers matter. Weapons matter. One human ship. It is too little. Despite their doubts, the Council had agreed to Alex's plan. They had assigned a few fleets to act as distant support, but only if the human vessel could survive the first engagement. Until then, all eyes were on him. Inside the human ship, Engineer Jonas was examining the ship's systems. He smiled faintly. The Sci-Fi do not realize how adaptable this ship is. Its core systems can adjust to energy surges, redirect power, and even repair minor damages automatically. They think it is fragile, but it is anything but. Lena, at her communications console, looked up. I've been intercepting Drexari transmissions. They have no idea we are here. They think their fleet is unchallenged. That gives us a head start, but we must move carefully. Alex nodded. Good. That's the first advantage we have. Surprise. But it won't last long. We must act before they adapt. As the ship approached the outer colonies, Alex gathered the crew in the command room. The star map displayed a cluster of Drexari ships near a planet. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical, but the subtle timing gaps between their maneuvers revealed patterns. This is it, Alex said quietly. This is where we begin. We don't attack head-on. We observe, we learn, and then we strike where they least expect it. Mara, prepare the ship for maximum agility. Jonas, monitor energy flows. Lena, keep intercepting transmissions. Every move must be calculated. The crew nodded, tension mixed with determination in their eyes. They were about to face an enemy that could destroy entire worlds. Yet they trusted Alex completely. Meanwhile, on the Sci-Fi observation platform, younger officers watched nervously. Many were skeptical, but some began to feel curiosity replacing doubt. Lieutenant Vera whispered to a colleague, "What if the humans are right? What if one vessel really is enough?" Her colleague scoffed. "That is wishful thinking. Humans are clever, but cleverness cannot replace firepower. This is war, not a puzzle." But Vera's attention remained fixed on the holographic image of the human ship moving through space. There was something different about the way it maneuvered, something the Safari could not understand. As night fell over the outer colonies, Alex's ship entered a dense asteroid field near the enemy fleet. The Drexari ships maintained formation, unaware that a single vessel was slipping silently among them. Mara guided the ship with precision, weaving between massive asteroids with a skill born of hours of training. Jonas monitored the ship's shields and engines. Hull integrity is stable. We're moving too fast for the Drexari sensors to track accurately. They won't notice us until we choose to reveal ourselves. Lena's fingers flew over the console, decoding enemy signals. They're communicating about patrol routes and attack patterns. I can predict their next moves with a high probability. This is the advantage we need. Alex leaned forward, his eyes scanning the holographic map. Good. Remember, we are not here to fight the entire fleet. We are here to understand it, find its weakness, and then act. One mistake could be fatal, but if we succeed, one human vessel will have done what fleets cannot. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a small patrol group of Drexari drones approaching. They were fast and heavily armed, designed to detect and destroy intruders. Mara adjusted the ship's trajectory. They're coming straight for us. Shall I engage? Alex shook his head. No, let them come closer. We're too small to fight them directly, but we can outthink them. Watch and learn their pattern. As the drones advanced, they moved predictably, following a rigid formation. Alex noted the timing of their energy pulses, the way they accelerated around asteroids, the brief gaps between their scanning sweeps. Now, Alex said. Mara twisted the controls, and the ship slipped through a narrow gap between two asteroids. The drones, unable to follow quickly enough, collided with the rocks or drifted past. Jonas grinned. They didn't see that coming. We just used their own formation against them. Lena smiled. And we intercepted their communication signals to predict their movement. Humans really do fight differently. The first successful maneuver gave the crew confidence. They had proven to themselves, if not yet to the Scifi, that intelligence and strategy could overcome raw power. Back at the observation platform, some Scifi officers were stunned. How did they do that? One whispered. A single human ship avoided detection and neutralized drones without firing a shot. Vorin, the deputy, frowned. This is exactly what we feared. Humans are unpredictable. We cannot control them, and yet, they are effective. Karen's voice cut through the room. Do not underestimate them. One vessel may succeed today, but the Drexari will adapt. We must be ready to support if necessary. Meanwhile, Alex guided the ship deeper into the fleet, observing, analyzing, and learning. Every move of the enemy revealed more weaknesses. Their formations were rigid, their communication patterns predictable, their reactions slow to adapt. We are small, yes, Alex said to his crew, but we have what they lack. Imagination. Every decision we make can turn the tide. We must remain sharp, observant, and ready to exploit every opportunity. Hours passed. The crew worked tirelessly, moving through the enemy fleet without being detected, gathering intelligence that would be vital for future attacks. Even small mistakes were quickly corrected, and the human ship proved capable of incredible maneuvers that would have destroyed larger vessels. By the time the Scifi fleets received reports from their observation posts, the human ship had already mapped the enemy fleet's weak points. The younger officers began to whisper among themselves, their doubts slowly turning into admiration. Vera, the Scifi lieutenant, could not hide her excitement. The humans, they really might be able to do this. One ship is enough because they are different. Her colleague shook his head in disbelief. It still seems impossible, but I can't deny what I'm seeing. As night fell across the galaxy, Alex and his crew prepared for the next stage. They had survived the first encounter, learned the enemy's patterns, and gained confidence in their unique advantage. The Drexari did not yet know a human was inside their fleet, observing, calculating, and preparing. Alex looked at his crew, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the control panels. We've taken the first step, he said. We've shown that humans fight differently, that strategy can overcome brute force. But the real test is coming. We must strike when the time is right, and when we do, the galaxy will see why one human vessel is enough. The ship moved silently through the stars, small but fearless. For the first time, the Drexari fleet would have to face not an army, but a mind that thought differently, a crew that adapted, and a species that refused to be underestimated. And somewhere deep in the alien coalition, doubt was beginning to turn into respect. Humans were small, yes, but their ingenuity, courage, and determination had already begun to make the impossible seem possible. One human vessel was enough. And soon, the galaxy would understand why. The human vessel moved like a silent shadow through the vast expanse of space. Stars streaked past as the ship glided between asteroid clusters, weaving with a grace no alien fleet could match. On the command deck, Alex Mercer studied the holographic map of the Draxari Armada. Every move the enemy made was predictable, but the sheer number of vessels still weighed heavily on him. "They've increased patrols near the outer colonies," Lena reported, her fingers dancing across the console. "They suspect something, but they don't know what. Yet." Mara, sitting at the pilot station, adjusted the ship's trajectory. "They're fast. We'll need every advantage to avoid detection." Alex nodded. "And that's exactly what we're going to do. Observe, adapt, and strike where they least expect it. We're not here to fight head-on. That's how most would lose. We'll use their strengths against them." Jonas, monitoring the ship's energy core, looked up. "The hull can handle their minor energy pulses, but larger weapons will be dangerous. We must avoid detection and minimize direct conflict. I suggest we focus on intelligence first, then precision strikes." Alex smiled. "Exactly. The Draxari do not expect humans to think differently. That is our weapon." The ship drifted closer to a small cluster of Draxari ships. They were massive, gray vessels bristling with weapons and energy shields. From a distance, they appeared invincible. Yet Alex could see their weakness: rigid formations, predictable communication patterns, and overconfidence in their numbers. Suddenly, the enemy. Ships detected movement. One patrol drone separated from the main fleet and began scanning the area. Its energy pulse swept across the asteroid field, searching for intruders. Mara adjusted the ship's shields. "They've detected something. What do we do?" Alex leaned over the console, analyzing the readings. "They are checking the area systematically. We are too small to fight directly, but we can manipulate their patterns. Jonas, prepare the energy disruptor. Lena, intercept their communications. We're going to make them miscalculate." The disruptor hummed as Jonas activated it, sending a subtle interference through the patrol drone's sensors. At the same time, Lena tapped into the drone's communication channels, sending false signals that mimicked other Draxari vessels. The drone paused, scanning its surroundings. Its sensors flickered as it tried to process the conflicting data. Then it turned away, convinced that the area was clear. Alex breathed a quiet sigh of relief. "One down. And the fleet doesn't even know we're here yet." But the victory was short-lived. Another patrol group appeared, larger and faster, cutting through the asteroid field toward them. Mara adjusted the controls, weaving the ship with precision. The drones fired energy pulses, but Alex's crew anticipated each shot, dodging and using the asteroids for cover. Lena shouted, "They're communicating. They're coordinating attacks. I can predict their next move." Alex nodded. "Good. Follow my lead. We are small, fast, and intelligent. That is our advantage." The human vessel darted through the drones, avoiding energy beams and scanning the enemy's formation. With each maneuver, the crew gained confidence. They were proving step by step that humans fought differently, not with overwhelming force, but with strategy, speed, and ingenuity. At the Zafari observation platform, younger officers watched in awe. Lieutenant Vera whispered, "They are actually doing it. One ship is evading multiple drones without firing a single shot." Her colleague frowned. "It's almost impossible. But the data doesn't lie. They are surviving, predicting the drone's movements." Back in space, Alex spotted the main fleet's command vessel. It was enormous, with layers of shields and a massive array of weapons. Most would panic at the sight, but Alex saw an opportunity. The command vessel's sensors were focused on distant sectors, ignoring a small gap in their patrol perimeter. "This is our chance," Alex said. "We strike the command vessel, but carefully. We do not destroy it outright. We create confusion, force them to react. Mara, get us into position. Jonas, power the disruptor. Lena, continue intercepting signals." The crew moved in perfect synchronization. The ship slipped through the small gap in the Drexari formation undetected. Jonas activated the disruptor, sending a pulse that temporarily disabled the command vessel's energy shields. Lena manipulated their communications, creating false warnings and phantom vessels in the fleet sensors. The command vessel paused, scanning the area, unsure where the threat was coming from. Smaller ships around it hesitated, unsure of their orders. Confusion spread through the Drexari formation. Alex saw his opportunity. Now, we do not attack physically. We create chaos and retreat. The fleet will waste time and energy correcting their mistakes. That is how we win. Mara twisted. The controls in the human vessel shot through the formation, weaving around massive warships and asteroids. Energy beams fired past, missing by mere meters, but the ship's agility was unmatched. Jonas adjusted the shields, absorbing minor impacts, while Lena continued to manipulate communications, ensuring the enemy remained disoriented. The first engagement ended without a single human casualty. The Drexari fleet, massive and powerful, had been outmaneuvered by a single ship. The aliens could not understand how such a small vessel had created such confusion, yet the human crew knew exactly why. Alex gathered his team in the command room after the encounter. "We've proven the first point," he said. "Humans are not just clever. We adapt, improvise, and think ahead. The Drexari expect strength in numbers, but we show that intelligence can be stronger than force." Mara smiled, relief mixed with excitement. "I never thought I'd see the day where one ship could face dozens and come out unscathed." Jonas nodded. "And our technology isn't even fully revealed. The Drexari have no idea what we are capable of." Lena added, "They won't forget this, and the Zafari are starting to notice. Some of their younger officers are beginning to believe in humans." Alex's mind was already moving ahead. The first encounter had shown the potential, but it was only the beginning. The Drexari would adapt, and the human crew had to be ready. They needed a plan for a more decisive strike, one that could turn the tide completely. Far away in the Zafari observation platform, Admiral Karen observed the reports with mixed feelings. "One ship, one human ship is capable of this?" she muttered. Her tone was a mixture of disbelief and grudging respect. Voren, the deputy, nodded slowly. "It seems humans are not to be underestimated. They fight differently, think differently, and achieve the impossible. Perhaps the Council underestimated what we had in our hands." Karen's gaze remained fixed on the holographic images of the human vessel moving through space. "This is only the beginning. The Drexari will adapt, and so must we. But perhaps humanity has a strength we cannot fully understand yet." Back in space, Alex reviewed the data collected during the encounter. Every movement of the Drexari fleet, every weakness in their formation, every communication error had been recorded. The human crew was learning faster than the aliens could predict. "This is why one ship is enough," Alex said quietly to himself. "We are small, yes, but we are adaptable. We think, we improvise, we survive. The galaxy has never faced humans like this." As the human vessel slipped further into the darkness of space, the crew prepared for the next stage. They had survived the first encounter, disrupted a massive enemy fleet, and proven the value of human ingenuity. But the real challenge was still ahead. The decisive strike that would show the galaxy why humans were not just another species. Alex looked out at the stars, determination in his eyes. "We fight differently. We survive differently. And soon, the Drexari will learn why one human vessel is enough to change the fate of worlds." The crew worked quietly, their confidence growing. They had seen firsthand the power of human strategy, the importance of intelligence over brute force, and the strength of a mind willing to take risks. One ship, one crew, one human captain. They were a small force, but their potential was limitless. Somewhere deep within the Drexari armada, the enemy commanders adjusted their formation, unaware that a single human vessel had already seen through their plans and learned their weaknesses. The first encounter had ended, but the real battle was only beginning. And in the darkness of space, Alex Mercer and his crew moved silently, ready to show the galaxy that humans were not just clever. They were unstoppable when they fought differently. The human vessel drifted silently in the cold emptiness of space. Stars glittered like distant diamonds, but Alex Mercer's focus was entirely on the Draxari armada ahead. Their fleet was massive, a moving fortress of weapons, shields, and armored hulls. Every commander in the galaxy would panic at the sight, but Alex saw opportunity. "Here's what we know," Alex said to his crew. They gathered around the holographic map, the flickering lights reflecting in their eyes. The Draxari fleet relies on predictable formations. Their strength is their size, but that size makes them slow to adapt. They think they are invincible, but they are not. Mara, the pilot, frowned. "Even with strategy, this is risky. One mistake and we're done. There's no backup." Alex nodded. "Exactly. That's why they underestimate us. They don't expect a small, intelligent force to outmaneuver them. We will strike where they are weakest, create confusion, and force them to overreact." Jonas adjusted the ship's energy output. "I've been monitoring their core systems. There's a central command node in the middle of the fleet. If we can disrupt it, even temporarily, their formations will collapse. Their smaller ships will hesitate, giving us the advantage." Lena's fingers flew over her console. "I've intercepted multiple communications. They are confident, maybe too confident. They won't notice subtle manipulations in their signals until it's too late." Alex smiled faintly. "Then it's settled. We use our intelligence as a weapon. Mara, get us into position. Jonas, ready the disruptor. Lena, continue intercepting. Timing is everything." The human vessel moved like a shadow, slipping through asteroid clusters and weaving between the massive Draxari ships. The enemy fleet sensors scanned the area, but the human ship's agility and Jonas's subtle energy cloaks kept them hidden. As they approached the central command vessel, Alex analyzed the patterns one more time. The command ship's shields pulsed rhythmically, creating brief windows where their defenses were weaker. Smaller vessels moved in strict formations, following commands without deviation. Alex saw the opportunity to turn the fleet's strengths into weaknesses. "Here it is," Alex said. "The plan is simple in theory, but execution must be perfect. We create a chain reaction. First, we disrupt the command node. Then we manipulate their communications to simulate phantom attacks. Their fleet will react, and in the chaos, we can target critical points. One precise strike can paralyze them for hours." Mara tightened her grip on the controls. "One wrong move and it's over. Are you sure about this?" Alex met her gaze. "We don't have a choice. We survive by thinking differently. That is what humans do." Jonas initiated the energy disruptor. The ship hummed softly, sending a pulse toward the Draxari command node. At first, nothing happened. The fleet continued in rigid formation, confident in their perceived invincibility. Then slowly, the shields on several ships flickered, and the command vessel's energy output wavered. Lena's voice was calm but excited. "They're reacting. Their smaller ships are hesitating. They don't understand what's happening." Alex nodded. "Now comes the next step. Mara, initiate the phantom signals. Make it seem like multiple attacks are coming from different directions." Lena manipulated the Draxari communications, creating false readings and phantom ships in their sensors. Energy beams fired at empty space as the fleet scrambled to respond. Confusion spread like wildfire. The human vessel darted through the chaos, slipping past massive warships, weaving around asteroids, and avoiding energy pulses that would have destroyed larger ships. The crew's skill and coordination were unmatched. At the Safari observation platform, younger officers watched in awe. "They've done it again," Lieutenant Vera whispered. "One ship and the Draxari are in chaos. I can't believe it." Her colleague shook his head. "This is more than cleverness. Humans think differently. They see patterns others cannot. One ship really might be enough." Back in space, Alex prepared the final phase. The central command node was still active but weakened. With precise timing, he guided the human vessel close enough to deploy a targeted energy pulse, not to destroy but to paralyze the command systems temporarily. Jonas activated the pulse. A bright wave of energy surged outward, hitting the command node with perfect accuracy. Shields flickered, weapons went offline, and the fleet's formations broke apart. Smaller ships hesitated, unsure of where orders were coming from. The Draxari fleet, massive and imposing, was paralyzed by a single human decision. "Now," Alex said, "retreat and observe. We've done what no fleet could do, disrupt an entire armada with intelligence and precision." Mara twisted the controls, guiding the ship away from the command vessel. Energy beams fired after them, but they missed by mere meters. The human ship moved with fluid grace, avoiding every attack. Lena intercepted communications again. "They're trying to regain control, but their signals are scrambled. They can't coordinate properly. We've bought time." Alex exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and satisfaction. "We've shown them what humans are capable of. Intelligence, adaptability, and timing can defeat even overwhelming force." In the Zafari observation platform, Admiral Karen watched in disbelief. One ship, one human vessel did this? They've paralyzed the Draxari fleet with no backup, no fleet support. It's impossible. And yet it's happening. Voran, the deputy, nodded slowly. Humans are remarkable. They think differently. They adapt. One ship is enough because it is not just a ship. It's a human mind and crew operating at their highest potential. Alex and his crew observed the fleet from a safe distance. The Draxari command node was weakened. The smaller ships confused and their communication lines disrupted. The human vessel had achieved something no other species had ever managed. But Alex knew this was only the beginning. The Draxari would recover, adapt, and strike back. Their initial chaos was temporary, but it had proven a critical point. Strategy, intelligence, and human ingenuity could overcome brute force. "We've bought time," Alex said, "but the real battle is ahead. We must use this advantage to plan our next move. One mistake now and it's over. But if we succeed, we can turn the tide completely." The crew nodded, their confidence growing. They had faced impossible odds and emerged unscathed, showing the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. As the human vessel moved through the stars, Alex reflected on what had happened. The Draxari fleet was powerful, yes, but it was rigid, predictable, and overconfident. Humans were the opposite, flexible, clever, and willing to take risks that others would not. That difference was their true strength. Mara glanced at him. "Do you really think one ship can do this alone?" Alex smiled faintly. "We've already done what fleets cannot. One human vessel is enough because it carries something the Draxari cannot understand: creativity, courage, and intelligence. That is more powerful than any number of ships," Jonas added. "And the ship itself is more capable than they realize. It adapts, repairs itself, and enhances our abilities. They think it's fragile, but it's anything but." Lena nodded. "We've shown them already. Now we just need to keep proving it." Alex looked out at the stars, determination in his eyes. "This is just the beginning. The Draxari will recover, but we will be ready. One ship can change the fate of worlds, and that ship is ours. We fight differently. We survive differently. And soon the galaxy will see exactly why one human vessel is enough." Far away, the Draxari armada slowly reorganized. Their command node flickered back to life, and smaller ships began to move into formation again. They did not understand how they had been disrupted, but one thing was clear. They had been humiliated by a single ship. And in the darkness of space, Alex Mercer and his crew prepared for the next stage. Their first decisive action had proven human ingenuity was unmatched, but the real challenge awaited, turning disruption into total victory. The galaxy had begun to notice. One ship, one crew, one human mind, enough to challenge the mightiest fleet ever seen, and soon, every species would understand why humans were not just clever. They were unstoppable when they thought differently. The human vessel floated silently in the void, just beyond the edge of the Draxari fleet. Stars shimmered around it, distant and cold, yet inside the ship, the crew's hearts burned with determination. They had disrupted the enemy before, But now the real challenge awaited. A decisive strike that would end the Draxari threat, or cost them everything. Alex Mercer stood at the command console, eyes scanning the holographic map. The fleet's formation was fractured, smaller vessels hesitated, and the command node was recovering slowly. "This is our chance," he said to his crew. "We've forced them to react. Now we turn confusion into victory." Mara adjusted the ship's trajectory. "We'll be in range of their main weapons if we go too fast. Are you sure about this?" Alex nodded. "Speed alone won't win this. We rely on timing, strategy, and surprise. Stick to the plan." Jonas, monitoring. The ship's systems activated the energy amplifiers. "Shields are optimal. Engines at maximum efficiency. We can move through their formation undetected if we maintain precise control." Lena's fingers flew over the communication console. "I'm manipulating their signals. They'll see threats where there are none. Their sensors will be overwhelmed." The human vessel moved like a phantom, weaving through gaps in the enemy formation. Every maneuver was calculated, every action precise. The Draxari fleet, massive and powerful, reacted slowly, unable to predict the clever movements of a single ship. Alex pointed to the command node at the center of the formation. "That is our target. We do not destroy it, yet. We paralyze it, cut their communications, and make them vulnerable. Mara, get us into position. Jonas, prepare the disruptor. Lena, continue with the phantom signals." The ship glided forward, silent and undetected. The command node pulsed with energy, its defenses strong but momentarily distracted by the phantom threats Alex's team created. Mara twisted the controls and the human vessel slipped past heavy defenses, closer than anyone would dare. Jonas activated the disruptor. A pulse of energy radiated outward, striking the command node with pinpoint precision. The node flickered, its shields weakened, and the flow of commands through the fleet stuttered. Smaller vessels hesitated, unsure where to move or who to follow. The once imposing Draxari armada had become a sea of confusion, its power neutralized by the ingenuity of a single human crew. Lena monitored the fleet signals. "They're disoriented. They don't understand what's happening. We've created an opening. The smaller ships are isolated and vulnerable." Alex nodded. "Good. Now comes the critical moment. We show them that one ship can do what entire fleets cannot." He guided the vessel toward a critical junction where the Draxari ships converged. Using the phantom signals, he tricked several ships into colliding or diverting, creating a domino effect. Energy beams fired at empty space, shields clashed, and confusion spread like wildfire. Mara laughed quietly. "I've never seen anything like this. One ship, and they're falling apart." Jonas smiled. "And all without a single casualty. Our systems are holding. We're exploiting their weaknesses perfectly." Alex studied the map. "This is it. We now strike the central nodes of the isolated ships, precision only. We are not here to destroy, but to disable. Each successful strike multiplies the chaos." The human vessel darted through the fleet, releasing small energy pulses at precise locations. Systems on Draxari ships failed, weapons went offline, and communications broke. The fleet, once a formidable wall of power, became a scattered and vulnerable group. In the Safari observation platform, officers watched in amazement. "One ship. It's doing what fleets could not," Lieutenant Vera whispered. "It's unbelievable." Her colleague nodded, astonished. "They've taken down the Draxari without a single fleet supporting them. One ship, just one, has changed the battle." Back in the human vessel, Alex's voice was calm but firm. "Retreat slightly. Let the chaos settle. We've done enough to turn the tide. Now we observe, adjust, and prepare for the next move. Timing is everything." Mara guided the ship to a safer distance. Jonas monitored energy levels, and Lena continued intercepting communications, keeping the Draxari confused. The enemy fleet struggled to regain control, their formations broken, their morale shaken. Suddenly, a massive energy pulse surged from the Draxari flagship, attempting to retaliate. Mara twisted the controls sharply, dodging the attack with perfect timing. Alex's plan had anticipated this. The pulse struck an empty area, missing the human vessel completely. "That was close," Mara said, a hint of tension in her voice. Alex smiled faintly. "They're powerful, yes, but predictable, and that is what we exploit. One ship, one human mind, can accomplish what entire fleets cannot, when strategy is applied correctly." As the human vessel moved through the fleet, the Drexari began to retreat. Their formation was broken, their command disrupted, and their morale crushed. The outer colonies would be safe for now, thanks to the courage and intelligence of a single human crew. Back at the Zafari observation platform, Admiral Karen watched the reports in stunned silence. One ship, one human vessel has neutralized the Drexari threat. Entire fleets could not have done this. I underestimated them. Vorin, the deputy, nodded slowly. Humans are remarkable. They adapt, improvise, and achieve what others cannot. The council was right to trust them. Far away, the human crew celebrated quietly. No cheers, no explosions, just a shared sense of accomplishment. They had faced the impossible and survived. They had shown the galaxy the power of human ingenuity. Alex addressed the crew. "We did what no one thought possible. But remember, this is not just a victory of technology or strategy. This is a victory of human spirit. One vessel, one crew, and we change the outcome of a war. That is the strength of humans." Mara smiled. "We've done it. We've shown them why humans fight differently," Jonas added. "And our ship, it's more than just a vessel. It's a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and courage. They'll remember this." Lena nodded. "The galaxy will. Humans have proven that intelligence and adaptability matter as much as numbers." Alex looked out at the stars, determination and pride in his eyes. "Yes, one human vessel is enough because we are not like others. We adapt, we improvise, and we survive. That is humanity's true strength." The Drexari fleet, now retreating, had been humbled. Their advance toward the outer colonies was stopped. Their mighty armada, once feared across the galaxy, had been outmaneuvered and paralyzed by a single human crew. Back at the Zafari Council, delegates from different species began to understand the meaning of what had happened. Humans were no longer just newcomers. They were respected, admired, and feared in the best way. One human vessel had accomplished what countless fleets could not. Admiral Karen finally spoke, her voice steady. "We have witnessed something remarkable today. Humans are not to be underestimated. One ship, one mind, one crew. They have changed the course of history. The Council must acknowledge this. Humanity is a force in this galaxy," Vorin added. "Indeed. The courage, intelligence, and adaptability of humans are unmatched. One vessel was enough because it carried the essence of humanity." Alex and his crew returned to the outer colonies as heroes. The people they had protected cheered, their gratitude evident in every word and gesture. Yet Alex remained humble. He knew this was not just a victory of force or technology. It was the victory of thinking differently, of using intelligence and courage to overcome impossible odds. On the human vessel, Alex addressed his crew one last time. "We did what others thought impossible. Remember this moment. Humanity's strength is not in numbers, but in courage, intelligence, and the willingness to take risks others will not. That is why one human vessel is enough." The crew smiled, feeling the pride of their accomplishment. They had faced the impossible and succeeded. The galaxy had taken notice. Humans were no longer just a species. They were a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and resilience. As stars stretched endlessly around them, Alex Mercer looked forward, knowing that the adventures of humanity were just beginning. One ship had changed, the fate of worlds. And this was only the start. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. One vessel, one crew, one human mind. Enough to achieve the impossible. The Galactic Council chamber was vast, a dome of shimmering metal and light that reflected the stars outside. Representatives from dozens of species sat in careful rows, their eyes fixed on the Council's central stage. Some were tall and lithe, with translucent skin that glowed faintly. Others were armored or insect-like, their many limbs moving in careful coordination. Humans, however, were a novelty here. They were newcomers, small compared to many alien races, and often underestimated. But that was exactly the advantage they held. Admiral Kale stood at the human delegation, his posture calm, eyes scanning the chamber. He had seen alien arrogance before, and he knew when it was dangerous. Across the room, the Ziraxi delegation made their entrance. Towering creatures, with armored carapaces and sharp angular features, they exuded authority. Their eyes glinted with confidence as they moved forward. "This council has been informed of our presence," the Ziraxi ambassador announced, in a voice that vibrated like a low drum. "We come not for trade or negotiation, but to claim what is rightfully ours. Human territories will submit. Other species will follow or they will fall." A murmur ran through the chamber. Humans were not the only species threatened, but many had already assumed that the Ziraxi's words were an exaggeration, that the humans would be the first to negotiate. Kale's fingers tapped lightly against the desk in front of him. He had been expecting this. The Ziraxi had underestimated humans from the beginning. Other species had approached the Ziraxi cautiously, offering concessions and seeking compromise. Humans were different. The human council leader, Chancellor Arian, rose. His voice was calm, steady but firm. "The humans do not negotiate under threat. We respect strength, but we will not bow. If you wish to speak, it must be on equal terms." The Ziraxi ambassador's eyes narrowed, and for a moment the room went silent. It was the first sign that they had not expected such a response. They had assumed humans would act like other species, offering tribute, signing treaties, and avoiding conflict. Kale leaned slightly toward Arian. "They don't realize what we've prepared," he whispered. "They think we're like everyone else. They'll learn quickly." Arian nodded, understanding. Humanity had spent decades building a fleet that was unmatched in both technology and strategy. They had ships capable of extreme speeds, advanced defense systems, and weapons designed for precision rather than sheer destruction. But what truly made them dangerous was their creativity. Humans never fought in predictable ways. Across the council floor, the Ziraxi ambassador straightened. "You are new to this galaxy, humans. Surely you will reconsider. Resistance is unwise." Kale stepped forward now, standing beside Arian. "We have considered," he said, voice firm. "And we have decided. Humans will not yield. Your threats mean little. You will see that strength is earned through action, not words." The Ziraxi ambassador's expression hardened. "Action? Then you leave us no choice." That was the moment Kale had anticipated. The council adjourned, leaving delegates whispering among themselves. Some species had already begun sending messages to their fleets, preparing in case the Ziraxi turned hostile. Humans, however, were already mobilizing. Back in human space, star systems bustled with activity. Massive shipyards floated in orbit, around planets, each vessel under construction or maintenance. Engineers and pilots moved with purpose, coordinating their efforts with near-perfect precision. The finest battle fleet in the galaxy was ready. Kyle walked along the deck of the flagship Intrepid. Its sleek hull gleamed under the artificial lights, and its crew moved with silent efficiency. He observed the ships lined up in formation outside the viewport. Each had been designed not just for power, but for versatility. Some were swift attack vessels, others heavy cruisers, and several carried experimental technologies that even the most advanced alien spies could not fully understand. "Admiral," said Commander Lyra, the fleet's second-in-command, "all ships are ready. We are awaiting your orders." Kale nodded. "Good. Begin the intercept protocols. I want every crew ready for battle, but not yet engaged. Let the Ziraxi think we are still small, weak, and negotiable. That is their mistake." Lyra's eyes sparkled with understanding. "They won't know what hit them." Meanwhile, in the Ziraxi homeworld, leaders gathered in a shadowed chamber. The initial shock at human resistance had faded, replaced by fury. They had never encountered a species that refused to submit so openly. "They are new," one Xeraxi general said. "They are weak. We should crush them quickly and make an example." Another shook his head. "Do not underestimate humans. They may be small, but there is something different about them. Caution is advised." But the first general waved his concern aside. "We have seen this before. Other species resist briefly, then yield. Humans are no exception. Prepare the fleets. We will teach them obedience." Kale, however, had already anticipated the Xeraxi's arrogance. He had studied their fleets, analyzed their strategies, and discovered their weaknesses. What they called discipline, humans saw as predictability. What they called strength, humans were ready to counter with ingenuity. The human fleet moved into position near the border of Xeraxi-controlled space. Ships appeared on sensors like points of light, seemingly small and insignificant. To the Xeraxi, this was a minor annoyance hardly worth their attention, but Kale had hidden the bulk of the fleet in cloaked positions, ready to strike with precision at the exact moment their enemy revealed overconfidence. In the calm before the storm, Kale walked through the Intrepid, observing his crew. Every face reflected determination. There was no fear, only focus. Humans had always thrived under pressure, and this would be no different. "Admiral," a young pilot said, approaching nervously, "do you really think we can win against their numbers?" Kale smiled, a small but confident expression. "It is not just numbers that win battles. It is courage, creativity, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. Remember that. We are not just fighting with ships, we are fighting with minds and hearts." The young pilot nodded, reassured. Kale's words were not just encouragement. They were a philosophy humans lived by. In every challenge, humans found ways to survive, to adapt, and to overcome. Suddenly, the sensors detected movement. Xeraxi ships had crossed the border, their formations tight and imposing. Their confidence was evident. They expected human negotiation. They would not get it. Kale took his place on the command deck, hand resting lightly on the console. He gave the signal. Lights blinked, alerts sounded, and the fleet responded instantly. Humans were ready. Through the viewport, the Xeraxi fleet appeared larger than expected. Their warships were massive, bristling with weapons and shields. Yet, Kale saw opportunity where they saw strength. Every formation had a weakness. Every maneuver had an exploitable pattern. "Prepare the decoy formations," Kale ordered. "Deploy the stealth drones. Remember, unpredictability is our greatest weapon. Let them underestimate us." Again, Lyra nodded. "All units ready, Admiral. Awaiting your command to engage." Kale's eyes swept across the stars. He remembered the countless humans who had fought, explored, and survived against impossible odds throughout history. Every achievement had been won not by yielding, but by daring. Today would be no different. The Xeraxi fleet advanced, their sensors scanning, their weapons primed. They believed humans would negotiate at the last moment, but humans never surrendered. Kale pressed a button, sending a final signal to all ships. "Engage on my mark. Show them what humanity is capable of." The crew braced themselves. The battle that would announce humanity to the galaxy had begun, even before the first shot was fired. From the viewpoint of the Intrepid, the stars streaked as ships moved into position. Human ships darted between asteroids and debris, using the environment to their advantage. Stealth drones activated, creating false signals to confuse the Xeraxi. Small human vessels appeared to flee, drawing enemy fire toward empty space. The Xeraxi, confident in their superiority, took the bait. Their weapons fired at phantoms, while humans maneuvered into optimal positions. It was a battle of minds, as much as machines, and humanity's greatest strength was exactly that: thinking differently, acting boldly, and never yielding. Kale's calm voice cut through the tension over the comms. "Hold steady. Wait for the opening. The first move belongs to us, and when it comes, strike without hesitation." The Zyraxi had expected negotiation. They had not expected strategy, courage, or unity. Humanity had arrived, not just to defend but to prove that underestimating humans was a grave mistake. And in that quiet moment before the first strike, Kale allowed himself a small, confident smile. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would not falter. Humanity would show the galaxy why they were not to be underestimated.